let's get rid of this, and I want to introduce you to timelines. So we're going to actually build this whole thing out with timelines. So I'm going to go and just get rid of everything here and hit save. So what a timeline allows you to do is to chain together multiple GSAP from twos or twos. So I think the best way I can show you is to just write out the code, and it's going to all make sense. So I'm going to say const, we're going to create a variable. I'm going to call it TL for timeline. I'm going to do GSAP here dot timeline like this. So that's how we define it. And in here, we can define how all of our animations are going to behave. So how much are they going to last? So duration, we can also do delays here. We can also do easings and a bunch of other amazing stuff. So all you need to do here is create an object like that. So curly brackets, write defaults, colon, and then another curly bracket. I know it looks a bit ugly, but it is what it is. So here we can define a duration. I'm going to say 0.75 seconds. Okay, and that's it. So we have this timeline thing now. And what we can do is just say TL. So rather than doing GSAP from 2 or GSAP 2, we can do TL2. So TL2. So again, same thing. We can select whatever we want to select. In this case, the cookie container, like that. I'm going to add a comma to it. What I want to do is just scale it up. Now, what I want to do first is actually scale it down. So I'm going to do from 2. From 2. Okay, so I want it from a small scale, like 0, and scale it up to 1, and hit save. So let's take a look. Let's go over to the browser and hit refresh. Bam! There we go. So it goes from scale 0 to scale 1. That's wonderful. Okay, let's head back to VS Code. Okay, so here's the cool thing now. I can just do another TL from 2, can grab the cookie, comma, and what I want to do is let's just fade it in. Opacity, so from opacity 0 to opacity 1, and hit save. Let's go back. So now take a look. It chains them together. So timeline is going to run this animation. And once this one finishes, so again, both of them last for 0.75 seconds. Once this finishes, it starts running the next one. So it chains them together to create more complex animations. So it's really nice and really clean rather than having to delay everything one by one. So there we go. That's what we have. Now, what I want to do with this cookie is actually slide it in from the left side. So what I can do is here, so we're doing opacity 0, but I also want to do from x minus 50 to x 0. All right, so move it a bit to the left and slide it in back to its original position. So refresh, bam. Perfect. So that's looking really good. What else I can do is just rotate it a bit. So it actually spins in. So what I want to do here is do rotation. And you have to add some not curly brackets, some quote marks here and say, I'm going to do minus 45 degrees. And I want it to go to 0 degrees. So rotation, 0 degrees, like that, and hit save. Okay, cool. So let's hit refresh and see, bam, and it slides in just like that. How cool, how easy and intuitive is this? Hope you like it as much as I do, because I really do. Okay, so we have that. Now let's do another one here. TL from 2. I'll just grab the text like that. I'll do x30 here and opacity 0. So this is again our initial position, and the second curly bracket is going to go to x0 and opacity 1. All right, so we're fading it in and we're moving it in from the right side to 0. So 30, x30 is going to push it to the right and move it back to 0. So there we go. Cool. Now there's one thing I don't really like about this, is I actually want these two, so the text with the cookie, to come in at the same time. So how can we do that? Very easy. Go to the property, go to the animation that you want to sync up to the previous one. In this case, I want these two to play at the same time. And just right here after the curly brackets, so make sure you're in between the parenthesis and the curly bracket, add a comma and some quotation marks. And if you add the smaller than symbol, it's going to basically sync up with the previous animation. And hit save. Let's see. Look at that. How cool is that? Awesome. There we go. Now, another thing I want to do is add a little easing to this and make it look a bit more interesting. So I can actually define an easing. You can go over, if you search up GSAP ease on Google, you can view this easing visualizer here and check out all the different ones that they have. I'm going to go for the first one here. So you can click on that and then you can just copy paste this over from down here. So copy it, bring it here. So here where I have the duration defined, I can add a comma and paste this power 1 out. And that's just going to add it to everything. So look at that, nice and smooth. How cool does that look? Now what I actually want to do, let me see if I can just stretch this out a bit. I'm still unhappy about the way this text looks. Let me try 80 here. I'm so finicky about design stuff. I know I can be quite annoying. Let me make this smaller, this font size title. And maybe this text as well, a little bit smaller. See, I wasn't happy with 0.7. Hit save. There we go. And let's do 0.6 here as well on the button and hit save. Okay, there we go. I like that much more. And I guess I'll add a bit bigger border radius to the subtitle here. I'll just add a bit more padding. 0.7, hit save. Okay, I like the way that looks a bit more. There we go. So that's cool. So anyway, sorry about that. What I can also do, so now this power 1 applies to all of these individual elements. What I want to do is actually on the cookie container is to do like this little elastic, like boom boom effect. That doesn't explain it, me saying boom boom. But if we go here to the visualizer, we can go over to bounce and take a look. Boom, boom, not bounce, but elastic. So I want it to actually go overboard. So basically, as you can see, it goes over like that, which means that when we scale it up to 1, it's actually going to scale it a bit more than it's supposed to. And then it's going to return to scale 1 at the end. There we go. And now you can customize this a bit more down here. So if I change this to 2, that's going to add much more to the intensity. I'm going to keep it 1 here and run that. And then here, the second property, let's change it to 0. So if I do 1 here, that just makes it like barely even 1 bounce. So this makes it super elastic. 0.1, bam, 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 bam. That's super elastic. I'll do 0.4. All right, so 1 and 0.4. Just mess around, customize it. Again, with animations, there's no really right or wrong way of doing it. You just have to kind of mess around with it and see until it looks nice. So all I need to do is head over to that cookie container, and here in the second curly bracket, I can paste in the ease and hit save. And there it is, so bam. Now that's a bit fast in my opinion. So if I want to change the duration, I can just, again, you can just do everything in the second curly bracket. So even though we did the defaults of ease power 1 and the duration of 0.75, I can modify that on each individual element here. So we have scale, we change the easing, and now we can also change the duration here. So I'll just make this a little bit longer, like 1.5. I'll double this time and hit save. Let's see, refresh, boom. There we go, that looks pretty cool. Now what I want to do, this takes a bit more time to finish now, as you can see. So I feel like the text and cookie pop up quite slow just because we have a large duration here. So what I can do is, again, add that comma and add the symbol. Now if I do that, so you make sure it's between the curly bracket and the parentheses. So comma, and just like that, hit save. Oh, sorry, not there. Let me get rid of that. I meant to do it down here. So comma, because we want this to start as soon as this goes on. Now, the problem with this is that it happens all at the same time, so you cannot really see them sliding in nicely. So what do we do now? What if I wanted to go halfway in? So halfway through this bounce, so when this animation is at 0.75, that's when I want to run this. Well, we can do that actually really easily. All we need to do is say the less than symbol, 50%, and that's it. So when this animation is halfway through the cookie container scaling up, start running all of these down here. So let's see now, refresh, and that's much smoother and nicer. Awesome, so there you go. And that's pretty much it for the cookie animation. I guess we'll add a little thing where you can click on it and it closes up. So let's just do that very quickly. It's going to be quite easy. What we can do is just grab the button. We can do const button equal to document.query selector. We can just grab the button like that. And then we can do a button, add event listener. So when we click on this button, we're going to run a little function here. So what we're going to do here is just do a GSAP dot from to. And what I want to do is grab the cookie container like that. And I wanted to do, actually we can just do a to here. We don't need to define a from position. I wanted to fade out basically. So opacity 0 and Y 200. So move it down a little bit. If you add a positive value here, it's going to move down. If you add a minus here, it's going to go up. Okay. And let's add a little duration here. So let's say 0.75 just to keep everything consistent. And we're going to do that ease of power 1.out again. And hit save. So let's see, refresh, lovely, click, and we have a nice fade out. So there we go. That's the cookie animation. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope I made you like GSAP, and hope you see the power of the timeline now. All right, let's create more fun stuff. I'll see you in the next chapter.